Oh, well, hello. In your bags, there's a couple of people here. Welcome to Brother Made for Embroidery live demo event at Mike's. We have a couple of spectators because, you know, it's cool to have people hanging around watching while you do stuff like this, not just me talking to the wall. And in your little bag, information bags, you guys have a bingo. So while we're doing the event, are you here for the event?
Yes.
Yeah, come on, quick, over here. There's a spot for you, my love. If you pull out your bingo bit of paper, there's a bingo at the bottom. Every time I say a word on that, that's it, yep. Every time I say a word, in your bag, my love, that's on that bingo, just tick it off, see who can get bingo first, alrighty? That's why you have those brother pens.
Right.
Cool? And if you're watching this live,
So when you say a word on here.
that's right, on that bingo at the bottom.
Yep.
Groovy?
Okay.
See, it's just these people live at home are going, this is just like a real event. There's people popping in. Are you here for the event too, sweetheart? No? Okay, well, you're good, Ella. You got this. All right. So every time you hear one of those words, just tick it off. We'll see who can get bingo first.
You already said, well, hello.
Oh, she's onto it. Tick it off. Done. It's like my catchphrase. I'm trying to make it my thing. Alrighty. So, first of all, Brother Made for Embroidery. Shout out to Brother. Those pens not working. Ella's going to track some down. So we're running real smooth to start off with. Brother does a really good job of trying to keep all of us small dealers together, especially now more than ever when we're all sort of spread apart by, you know, COVID. So these Made for Embroidery events are designs that we can all have a shout out and speak up about some of the cool Brother products that we love. And this time around, Made for Embroidery, it's about the cool range of Brother embroidery products. And for me today, this first one is going to be on the NV3500D, which is a run-out model, but still really cool. So that's why we're promoting it, so you can get it at a really good price. And then the one at 11 o'clock will be on the Brother NV3500. Okay, good. Did you get working pens?
Yes.
Lovely. All right. So let's start. This demonstration today is mostly about the machine, but I've also come up with a cool project. So when I'm done, I'm going to do another video this afternoon after everyone goes home, and actually going to be a video on how to make the project up, and I'm going to put it on the website for free so that you can download it and make it yourself if you want to. So mostly about the machine today while we do it. Let's talk embroidery first. The 3500D is a combination machine. It is embroidery and sewing, which means that this embroidery arm will pop off and the machine can then be used for sewing. And it's nothing to be sniffed at. The sewing space under here is quite a generous sized space. So it's a nice big machine to use at home. Now, this guy here for embroidery comes with two standard hoops. It is, oh, I don't know what this is in inches, so someone might have to shout out. It is 260 by 160 is your large hoop, and I think that might be what, 260, 160 must be maybe 6 by 10. There you go, beautiful. That's your large embroidery space, which means that's the size embroidery design it will do. And then the other standard hoop it comes with is your good old, I know this one, this is 130 by 180 or 5 by 7. So they're the two standard size hoops you can get that come with it. And then you have a couple of optionals you can buy. This one here is 100 by 100 and, well, 4 inches by 4 inches. And it's very handy if you're doing little kid stuff, shirts and things like that. Small blocks where you don't want to waste a lot of stabilizer. So that's an optional extra. I think it's about 60 bucks. And this little hoop here, oh, teeny. It's designed to go in socks and bibs and little tiny things like that. We don't really need it so much these days for a lot of the big projects that we're all doing, but if you're doing little kid stuff, your little grandkid stuff at home, yeah, it's a handy size hoop, and I think that's around about the 60 mark as well. Groovy? Now, the reason that I like this machine from Brother, and indeed the reason why I'm a big Brother fan, is that there's lots of features packed in here for your buck. And I'm a big believer in talking dollars first. So, normal price on this machine is just shy of 4K, so $3,999. It's on run out. They're about to bring out a new model which is, for all intents and purposes, functionally identical, except the new model will have Wi-Fi connectivity so that you can connect it to your computer through a Wi-Fi. Now, I don't know the pricing on that one yet. It's just still under the radar until these guys have cleared out. But it has a USB stick on the side of this machine, so you can put embroidery designs on a USB stick and plug them into your machine. Cool. Now, the other thing I like about Brother embroidery machines is they're super portable. So with this embroidery arm coming off, it's actually very easy to carry around with you, so that if you wanted to take it in the caravan, or if you want to put it at a holiday house, or if you're babysitting at a grandkid's place for 2 weeks, you can take it with you. Some embroidery machines at this sort of price point have a large fixed arm, which makes it quite difficult to get in and out of the car. So it's very portable. Now, colour screen. So you have a nice colour screen here so you can see what's going on. So let's get straight into it and just pull up the design from, well, let's look at some of the built-ins. So nice range of built-in designs. You just scroll through. You guys can't see that. Do you want to step up and have a look around? Do you guys want to stand behind me so you can see it? Is that a problem? There you go, that might be easier. I tried to stream it.
That's the same as mine.
That's right, Eunice, it's the same as your machine, so you're good with this one.
Yeah.
You might want to come around later and do the sewing, because I'm going to show you some stuff you probably don't know. Alright, cool? Yeah. So, choosing your embroidery designs here are done. Everyone say hello, hello. It's all done here. Oh, my gloves. I should mention, for those of you who don't know me, I always wear nice bright gloves, and these mermaid gloves are my favourites at the moment. And because it is a special day today, I've blinged them up with some extra. I lost my gem already. That's a precious gem. Oh, oops. Okay, all right, so looking at the designs. So if you want to see what these designs look like close up, you can select the design and then view it up here at the top. So this is, you probably don't know this, if you've got this, you know, you can press this button here and you can see the design in detail. So you can see what the design looks like, particularly handy if you're doing florals, because florals all look the same. Then you can actually see it in perspective of the hoop that it will fit in. So that's what it looks like in the really big hoop. See, all of a sudden the size looks relatable. That's what it looks like in the 5x7 hoop. That's what it looks like in the 100x100 hoop. And it won't fit in the little one, so we can't choose it. Cool? So you can preview your designs. We're going to pull our design off of a USB stick. So we're going to choose USB down here. And then it's just like your folder system on your computer at home. It gives you your folders first so that you can see them. And as you scroll through, you find the design you want, which in this case here is this one. And if this is what we'd like, if we're not sure, again, I can go into here and check it out in my hoop. That's what I need. And of course, it'll only fit in the big hoop, so it's only showing the big one here. I'm going to say, okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and set it onto my machine ready to sew. So with that design built in, I have lots of little options and things that I can do. I can move it, change the position of it in the hoop. I can resize it, but only by 20%, because if this embroidery design has 2,000 stitches, I don't want to make those 2,000 stitches spread over, 60%. So 20% resize. I can rotate the design. I can mirror the design. I can change my mind and delete the design. Or this little guy here, I can actually change the colors of the design. So if I hit this one, I can go ahead and tell it that I would like the blue stippling at the moment to be purple. And there it is, yellow. Now, you of course thread your machine, but this is good if you're going to do something for a netball club where you have to do 10 of them. You can decide the designs and then change the colors and then save it, and it'll remind you next time what colors you did. Cool? So I can see it, we're going to go red, so it's nice and clear. I'm going to say, okay. And then once I've finished here, I have a couple of options. I can either add, which means I can go in and add a font or another design, or I can go ahead and save it into the memory of the machine. So I can do it again and again without my USB stick, or I can finish editing and go into my embroidery mode. So let's add something to it just so you can see your fonts. So I'm going to hit add, and then I'm going to go into your fonts. A couple of different fonts here. You have big fancy decorative fonts which are great for towels, and those of you with embroidery machines know that at least once someone will say to you, can you embroider these towels for me for an anniversary present? They're perfect for that. And then we're just going to use these built-in fonts here. Choose the first one, and I'm going to just do something really quick. A, B, C, set. So now that font's been added to that embroidery design, and now if I hit move, I can move that font around. When we do the second demonstration this afternoon, I'm going to show you more about fonts. That one actually uses a font, and this machine here shares almost all the font functions of the other unit, so we're going to do it then. Once we get the font where we want it to be, or I can use my finger if I want to. Oh, people might be freaking out. You can also use a stylus. Your finger won't hurt your screen, but if you like to be organised and use a stylus, I don't know where mine is. There it is, good to go. And then once you're happy with that, you can go ahead and say okay. And if you've changed your mind, as I have here, I'm going to go, you know what, I don't like it. I can select and just scroll through until I get to the one I don't want. And I'm going to go ahead and pivot. Delete. Gone. Cool? All right, so you guys can sit down. I'm going to show the next part now while you sit. It is my stylus. You are such a good girl, Ella. All right, now I'll put it over here. When I lose it later, Ella, that'll be your fault. Oh, I found my gem, though. Okay, good. All right. Oh, well, it's going to fall out again. I'll put it in there. Alrighty, so what we're going to be doing today, we're going to end up making a little zipper purse. But the technique we're talking about today is this technique. Do you see that? So I'm going to show you how to create embellished fabric in the hoop of your embroidery machine. And the reason I chose this project for this machine is because there's a little bit of a challenge to this that this machine is very good at overcoming. What we've done there is a stipple design, which you saw on the screen. I'll put there, guys, so you can see it. Is that there? See a little stippling going on? Yeah. It's done in the hoop like so. So I'm going to explain to you what I've got going on here. This is the large hoop. And in the large hoop, I have put I've got an old pair of jeans out of Darren's cupboard, and I cut them up. And I've put a piece of denim down onto some good old-fashioned soft cutaway. Remember soft cutaway? We don't use it much anymore. But soft cutaway is lovely and smooth, but still very strong. So it's going to stay behind that denim, and it's going to give a little bit of oomph to my bag. Cool? So that's there. The denim's there. And then I got a little bit of 505 spray, which is a little bit rare as hen's teeth at the moment while we're waiting for more stock to come, like end of October, I think Victorian Textiles said. COVID is just knocking us around. So I put a little bit of basting spray onto the denim itself, and then I got this cool stuff here, which we sell by the meter for macrame classes, but it is t-shirt yarn. It's actually made by strips of cut up t-shirt woven together and round and round. I'll pass a bit around so you guys can feel it. There you go. Oh, actually I can't do that because of COVID. I'll give you each a bit. Hang on, there we go. I know. There you go. That's what it feels like.
Thinking all the time.
Oh, that's right. There you go, my love. I mean, it could be worse. We could be shut in our house all day, every day. So if this is what we have to do, there you go, my love. And there you go. Done. So that's just strips of cut up t-shirt, but you could use yarn, you could use cool knobbly yarn, you could use the bits of thread you have left over for your embroidery threads. You could even put little bits of cut up leather in here. You know, just go crazy and just sprinkle it all over the denim. And the 505 spray is going to hold it in place for us. And then we're going to put solvy over the top. And this is your towel solvy. Have you guys used that before? So it's water soluble. I'll cut off a little corner so you can feel it. It's water soluble. It's actually made of gelatin, but it doesn't taste very good, so don't eat it. Oh. But when you put it in water, it completely disappears. So we typically put it, solvy is what it's called. And I think that's like our colloquialism for it. It probably has some technical name, but if you ask for solvy, I know what you're talking about. But essentially, its original purpose was really to go over towels. So when you do embroidery, the fibres of the towels don't get stuck in between your threads, so the towel fibres stay flat. But I also use it for things like polar fleece, which is really fluffy. And in this instance, even though this isn't fluffy, we've got all these layers that are sort of starting to stick up and make like a tripping hazard for our embroidery foot. So I have put solvy over the top of all the shenanigans and then put the inner hoop in. So hooped it all together. Cool? So I'll just hold it up so you guys can see it. See, it's all held together in the hoop. So the solvy's nice and flat. See guys, the solvy's nice and flat. So to get that solvy flat, just gently tug it around the outside of the hoop, just to smooth it out. And one of the fab things about this Brother Machine's hoop is this little screw here. I know it seems such a silly thing to say, but because it twists up like this, it means you can hoop flat on your bench and still be able to turn it without your fingers getting in the way of the table, or your table getting in the way of the fingers. One of those two. So you can screw this up nice and tight. All right, so hooping of project, check. Let's talk thread. So I have wound Resart thread top and bottom. If you are using Resart thread, use Resant thread. I mean, there's lots of nice threads out there, but everyone who does any sort of tricky sewing will tell you that Resant thread is reliable, it gives a great result, it doesn't break, you don't get skip stitches. It's 1,000 meters for about I think $7.50 for us, Ella, is the price for it. So it's, you know, quite good value as well. And today I've got that in the top and in the bobbin. If you were doing just an ordinary embroidery design, as you guys with machines already would know, you would put embroidery thread in the top and you would put bobbin fill in the bottom. I'm just going to take a second to talk about bobbin fill. When you go to the show, there's some dude there with pop-up stand you've never heard of before called Super Jim's Amazing Specials, and he'll have big rolls of bobbin fill. But if it's not the right weight of bobbin fill for your machine, then your tensions are going to be all funky. So the right weight for this machine is Brother 60 weight bobbin fill. Thanks, sweetheart. Chuck it. Hey. Oh, action shot, slow-mo. Oh, is there another one up there in black? Yeah, that one, please, babe. Thank you. Now, here are 2 Brother bobbin fills. Now, if you buy them from us, yeah, cool, I'll sort you out and tell you that you're getting the right one. But I understand you're out shopping other places, you're at Spotlight or whatever. There's a chance there that the poor kids who work there who don't know that what this is won't be able to answer your question. So have a look at the actual colour codes of the bobbin fill. This one here is Aqua, and it's 90 weight. That is for embroidery only machines. So if your machine only does embroidery like the next one we're going to demonstrate, then that's the right bobbin weight for you. It's also the same bobbin weight as Janome. So if you have a Janome embroidery machine, that would also be a 90 weight bobbin fill. Ones for combination machines, like this one, is a 60 weight bobbin fill. And that will give you the right tension without you having to change your bobbin case.
What's the 60?
60 weight is for this combination machine. So if it's combination, it's 60 weight. Cool? So, because we're not doing an ordinary embroidery design, we want our stitches to look like, well, to be functionally stippling. Resant in the top and resant in the bottom is what we're doing today. Groovy? You can do that with most embroidery designs. What will happen though is the design will be thicker and chonkier, but if you're doing something that you want to look like red work, for example, or lace work or something that looks a bit old-fashioned, you can still do that. Experiment. As long as you understand what you're doing, you can always try it and see what happens. Cool? So that is now done. This guy is going on here. How are you going for time, Ella, baby?
17, so about 13.
Really? 17 minutes already? Who knew I could talk that long? Oh, hoop. When the hoop goes on with this machine, I just love the fact that there's no clicker on brackets and things. It just slides in here and the little lever goes down and locks it in. Can you see that on the camera? If I point just there, that lever. Now, Brother machines, their hoops all have little identifying markers on the actual hoop slide. So if you have a look here at these 2 hoops, here, see this marker here is in a different position here. So here and here. So your machine actually knows what hoop is in there. So if you try to sew a design that's too big for the hoop, it's not going to hit the hoop and knock it and you realise you made a horrible mistake. It'll tell you that you can't do it. And those of you with brothers know you'll get a little sad face on the screen with a little tear in his eye and you'll end up apologising to him for upsetting him. So it's very bossy. All right, so that's in resant top and bottom. Needle, in this instance I'm using an embroidery 1490, so a heavyweight embroidery needle. Now the thing about sewing machine and embroidery needles is embroidery needles are exactly the same from the tip up as all your other needles. They go into the normal way, the normal shape. But embroidery needles are designed to go through all those layers of stitches that you've done without damaging those other layers of stitches. So wherever possible, you should use an embroidery needle. And indeed, if you want to do embroidery on your sewing machine using some of those lovely decorative stitches that you've forgotten about, you can put an embroidery needle and bobbin fill underneath and bobbin thread on top and do that too. Cool, so I've got an embroidery today. Yo, Eunice.
Can I use the gold ones?
Yes, the titanium. So what the titanium does is have this lovely longevity. So you'll get twice the life out of a needle. How long can I use my needle for, Penny? I hear you think about 8 hours worth of sewing and your needle starts to be knackered. And it is crazy how much of a difference a blunt needle will make versus a sharp needle. So if you've been sewing all day, take that needle out, pivot, put a new one in. Can't remember. I know. It's a perfectly good needle. Throw it away. Okay, let's stitch this guy out. Now, when we look at this here, as you can see, as it slides around, there's all these obstacles. See that, guys? See how it's quite bumpy? And the risk is that the foot will actually drag against it. So while it's trying to sew it, there is not enough clearance and it will actually drag against these heavy layers and actually cause the whole thing to jam up. Stabilizer will tear. You won't be in the room when it happens. It'll always happen when your back's turned. The thing I like about this machine is that we can adjust the height of that embroidery foot, so it's actually going to sit higher while it sews, and then it will brush over those. So if you want to pop back around, for those of you who have this machine, I'm going to show you how to change the height on the foot. You know you can change the height in your big ones, Pauline. Yeah, love? Cool. All right, so we're going to go into the settings mode on our brother, which is this guy here. And we're going to scoop past some of the things we can change. Here is our speed control, and I'm going to slow that speed down to 700. I think 850 is its maximum, just because my hands aren't 850 stitches per minute reflexes. Cool? And then we're going to go one more over and see this embroidery foot height. So see how this one here, embroidery tension, has 0, 0 and a black box around it? That means it's the recommended default for normal sewing. So the recommended default for normal sewing for our embroidery foot height is 1.5 millimeters. Now we don't want that to drag and hit all of this, so we're going to take this up. Do you remember what it was before I did it? I think it was 3.5. We'll go 4. There we go. Beautiful. So we're going to set that to 4 millimeters so that it can float over the top. Cool? When you're finished, put it back when you're done, because if your embroidery foot height is too high for the fabric you're doing, you actually cause your stitches to skip or even break. So as soon as you're done, go back to the default, which is why it has that little box around it. Cool? Alrighty, so I'm going to stitch it out, guys. If you want to have a seat again, I'll say okay, and then you can watch over my shoulder if you want. You don't have to rush away. Let's go ahead and start. So foot down, like so. I'm ready to go. I'm going to end my embroidery. Modifications, all done. We're going to go ahead and just sew. You ready? Let's do it. Now on the screen it's telling me to do red because I changed that color to red. Remember, before it was black before? Foot down, let's start. I'm going to skip ahead one stitch just to make sure that when it goes to its first stitch, everything's running smoothly instead of just hitting start. So to change that, I'm going to go into this guy here. This is where you go backwards and forwards to adjust your stitches if you've had, heaven forfend, a thread break. So plus or minus, and I'm going to go ahead one stitch. So that's where the first stitch is going to start, right up here. If I wanted to, I could go ahead 100 stitches. I'm going to go back 100 stitches and start from there. So if you had a thread breakage, you would just go back 10 stitches and then it will over sew where your thread broke and you can keep going. So let's do it. Let's say okay and have this guy go. Now this is the sort of thing, because it is a bit tricky, that you can't walk away from. Oh, also two disclaimers, sewing machines sound so noisy on the video camera, so it's going to sound noisier for you guys at home than it is here. But you can see it's because we've got that solving on there and because our foot's floating nice and high. Can you see that, Pauline, all right? That it's going over all those layers just fine. Around it goes. Now, a couple of features about this machine while it's sewing. First of all, warranty. It has a 5-year warranty, 3 years mechanical, 5 years electronic. So 5 years electronic, 3 year mechanical. Excuse me. The color screen is where you can see everything, and then you have controls under here to then take extra navigation controls and things like that. Oh, I pressed it, so that's why it stopped. I panicked for a minute. Oh, what could have gone wrong? No, it's all good. USB port, there's 8.3 inches from here to here, so you've got a lot of space in there without being crazy big in price. And it also comes with a sewing only sister machine. So the sewing only component, which we'll touch on in a second, that's available just on its own. Same sort of chassis, black and white screen instead of a color screen. Cool? So we're going to let that guy stitch out. Now, what happens now is you get a phone call. Because, you know, you're taking 20 minutes to yourself. Someone's going to ring up and say, I need my prescription from the chemist, or can you please pick me up from the train station? So you're going to have to stop. So what you're going to do now is you're just going to stop where you are. You're going to cut the thread with the built-in scissor cutters, and you're going to take off your embroidery hoop, and you're going to go and get your handbag, and you're going to mutter to yourself about the fact that you never get 10 minutes to yourself, and then you get in the car and go and do whatever errand you're going to do with your sewing machine turned off. So this design here, we just brought it into the center of the hoop and hit start, but very often you don't. Very often you move your designs around. We're going to do that in the next demonstration. What this is going to do is when we turn it back on,
it's going to go to
Go back to where we were. Exactly correct. So, follow the prompts. Do what it says. It's telling us it needs to calibrate, which means it's going to check all its X and Y movement. And then here it says, is it okay to recall and resume from previous memory? And you're going to say, it sure is. Because now it's 10 o'clock at night. You already told the person you're making this for that you'd finished it. So now you have to frantically finish it. So now that's all ready to go in exactly the same spot where we finished up. Hoop slides back on. Just a bit of care as you go under the foot because we've got all those layers. And if we just start where we finished, of course, we're just leaving a little gap from that last lot of sewing where we stopped it. So we're going to go into the stitch adjust and we're going to minus, and we might go, oh, let's go 10 stitches. I think that's enough for a bit of stippling. Foot goes down and then off you go and keep on sewing. Now that is pretty cool. So not only does it remember where the design is, it also remembers where you were, so you can just go to it and keep on sewing. Cool? That's pretty fab. All right. So, how's the time, Ella? Can't unhear you because the machine. 4 minutes left. Really? Okay, so we're just going to let it do its thing and we're going to stop. I'm going to go back and finish it later. Let's put it into sewing mode so I can show you what to do next. Coolio? All right, this hoop's going to come off. I'm going to put it over here. And then what we're going to do is go into sewing mode by just turning the machine off. And, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to do one more thing before I turn it off. Turn it back on. I'm going to park the embroidery arm. On your bigger machines, your big dream machines, you can actually switch across to sewing mode with your embroidery arm on. On these guys here, you can't. It's an extra bit of technology that keeps that pricing down that they haven't put in. But what you can do is, for a quick little sewing project, park your embroidery arm. No, I don't want to resume this time, so I'm going to hit cancel. Park the embroidery arm out of the way. Over here. We're going to turn the machine off now. And then just unhook the embroidery arm. Oh, my magic wand was in the way. I've got 2 magic wands because oh, Ella, you left your wand here, sweetheart. And then I'm going to take off this embroidery arm just by clicking it and freeing it up like so. So I can still use that just for this little job. So I've got a flat surface to work on without having to take my embroidery arm away, and then I can plug it in later. So now changing the feet, you have an embroidery foot fixed position on this machine. I'm going to unscrew the ankle screw using the back of my brother foot. Janine showed me that at a show once. Oh, I know. Oh, yep. When you stand at a show and you can't find anything, it's amazing what you can improvise to get yourself out of a spot. All right, so that's the normal embroidery foot. That's off in there so I don't lose it. The ankle goes on. Screw that screw back up, and then I'm going to use the heel of the foot again just to give it a little tweak. Oh, my jewelry's getting in the way. I don't know how billionaires do it. They probably pay a person to screw the foot back up and down. All right, so now when we turn the machine back on, it's going to go into its sewing mode. Touch screen to wake it up, and there it is in sewing. So I'm going to lift my press foot up, put my foot on, like so, and now I'm ready to be in my sewing mode. Coolio? Now, what you're going to do with this project, and like I said, you'll have a full video later you can watch, is the bit that we just... I was so prepared. Oh, no, here it is. No, it's not here. Ella, honey, is there another bit like this over there with all stuff stitched to it?
Is this it?
Oh, that's it. Oh, the ladies hit it. It's okay. All right, so you're going to end up with a bit like this. And I've cut another bit out for the background, for the backing. You could do this on the back, but to be honest, it's going to start to get a bit hard for you to pin it together on these sides. It's starting to be challenging. So I've just done plain on the back, and we're going to put a zipper on, which means we used to use a zipper foot. And Brother has this fabulous new zipper foot, which is flat on each side. Oh, my gloves might be distracting you. There you go. Which means you can see both sides of the zip. See that, gang? See, it's nice and flat. I think you used this in class the other day, Eunice, this one. Yeah. So it's a straight edge zipper foot. We're going to put that on instead of my normal foot. So the feet just clip on and off, like so. And we're going to set our needle position to the left-hand side. Now, there's lots of things you can do in this sewing mode of this machine that you can also do in this sewing only version of it. One of the cool ones is if there's a setting for a stitch that you like, you can make it so that stitch always has that setting. So for example, if I wanted the stitch length on this to be a little bit longer because I'm doing some heavy chonky stuff, I'm going to go into my stitch controls and change the length, which I love being written in clear language, length, from 2.5 to 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and save it so that every time I choose that stitch, it goes back to that default setting even after I've turned the machine off. Are you telling me it's time, really time? How many minutes over am I?
Not yet.
Okay, you give me a warning of 5 minutes over. Okay, cool. All right, so now I've got that set up with the stitch length that I like. I'm going to go ahead and use some here we go, some continuous zippering. Now I love this continuous zippering. It is about $2.20 a meter. It doesn't have a zipper head on it. You put the zipper head on when you're finished, which means that you can get exactly the amount of zip that you like, and you can separate it so that you can sew it on. So sewing this, it's pretty cool, right? Yep. Continuous zippering, we've got over there in all sorts of bright colours. And then the zipper head, which looks like this. Somewhere in there, somewhere here. Oh, here. The zipper head, we're just going to put it on later. And Eunice showed me, she used to work in a production line that did lots of zippers, so she showed me how to put this zipper head on nice and quick. All right, so we're going to rush, and not pin. But otherwise, you know, your mum would tell you to pin, all right? Edge of the tape against the edge of the fabric. We're going to put that against that lovely flat edge of that zipper foot. And I'm going to use my needle, my foot down position to drop my foot into place, like so. And then I'm going to turn on a feature called a pivot function. How's that bingo going, guys? And then with your pivot function, what's going to happen is as I sew, I'm going to sew here, close to the teeth. As I sew, if I stop and want to get myself sorted, the needle has gone down and the foot has lifted up. So now I can organize myself, get recombobulated, and then without having to reach up and touch anything, I just put my foot on the pedal and down it goes and off I go. Stop. All the other cool features on this machine, this is probably the coolest thing. And once you start using a machine with this, am I right, guys, who have it, you can't go back. It's so awesome for everything. Sewing, dressmaking, applique when you have to do all those little tight turns. I mean, did you know your machine did that?
No. Don't know my machine does much at all, but anyway.
And then through you go to the end and then reverse.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And now that I'm done, favourite button in the whole world, that scissor function cuts it. You'll notice the foot also lifted up, so now I can just pull my work out. And that is one side of my zipper done. Cool? So in the project that I do, I'm going to show you how to do all of this to make this up into an actual little zipper purse. But I think that is enough for today because it's been like half an hour. We're going to take a break and then come back at 11 o'clock and look at the embroidery project on the big machine. Cool? So thank you for watching. And guys, thanks for getting up and down and tightening your leg muscles so you can look over my shoulder. All right, gang, we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.